Everybody, welcome back to another Daily Drop here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones, and even though it's the open date for the Tar Heels in football, no game this week. I think everybody around the program needed a break. 7 straight games, then an open date. Tar Heels need to heal some wounds. They need to heal their souls. They need to deal with what they're going through with the passing of Tylee Kraft. So really, the open date came at an outstanding time, all things considered. But that doesn't mean we're not going to talk about Carolina football. We are, and we're going to look at the last 5 games. It's kind of a low-hanging fruit topic, but it is an interesting topic because there are winnable games on the schedule, but has this team played football, good enough football, that you might have a little optimism if you're a Carolina fan that they can pick up a couple more wins or even 3 more and qualify for a bowl? I know that that's not what a lot of fans were hoping for before the season. I know that's not what they expected in year 6 of Mac Brown. This is not about that. This is not about year 6 of Mac Brown. This is not about it being an indictment on him. This is not about whether or not he returns, although in some respects, how they finish might have something to do with that. But I don't want to get lost in the weeds of that. I want to strictly stay with these 5 games, and we'll just kind of take a quick look at them and think out loud about whether or not the Tar Heels have a really good chance or not so good chance at winning any of these 5 remaining games. Let's go ahead and start next week with Virginia. And I think it's interesting because the Tar Heels have 2 open dates in a 4-Saturday stretch. So they've gone 7 straight weekends. Now they're open. They have 2 games, both on the road. Then they're open again. So what's interesting is they have played 5 home games. In the last 6 weeks, they've had 5 Saturdays at home. Now they go 4 Saturdays where they're not home. So they won't be home for a month. That's probably a good thing because they've lost 3 games in a row at home. So let's take a look. At Virginia, October 26th. Right now, the Wahoos are 4-2, 1-1 in the ACC, I think it is. I don't think Virginia Virginia is not very good. Now, 4-2, better start than a lot of people expected. But there's no belief in Charlottesville. If you saw the crowd at Scott Stadium this past weekend, it made Kenan Stadium look like a packed house. I don't think the fans believe in Tony Elliott. He's going to have to do a lot to bring them on board. Just a lot of apathy there. And it's not a team that when you watch them play, you say, wow, that's a real dangerous foe. However, a lesser UVA team came into Chapel Hill a year ago and beat a much better Carolina team on their own field. So it's a losable game. And UNC does not have a great history up in Charlottesville, certainly going back to the early 80s, has not been a place where the Tar Heels have won a whole lot. Tough game. I think it probably right now on the surface, based on everything we know, probably a loss. Then they go to Tallahassee. Before the season started, a lot of people thought, you know what, this club could be 8-0. Kirk Herbstreit on ESPN on the original ESPN College Game Day said Carolina could be undefeated when they head into Tallahassee. Well, that's not going to be the case. They could be 3-5. At the best, they'll be 4-4. Florida State, on the other hand, 1-5 overall right now, 1-4 in conference play. And I just don't see the Seminoles winning between now and then. I think they've got Miami this Saturday, the Saturday beforehand when Carolina's UVA. I think FSU has Miami. So can Carolina go down Tallahassee and win? Well, they've beaten some better teams down there. They won down there in 2009 or in 2010. They won down there in 2016. I covered that game. The Nick Weiler 54-yarder to win it down at Campbell Stadium. They won the previous time they were down there when FSU missed a field goal as time expired. That is a very winnable game. I think FSU is the biggest mess in the conference. I don't think there's any doubt about it. As bad as Wake Forest can be, I think the Tar Heels go to Tallahassee, take care of business, and get a win. So let's say that's 4-5. Then they have an open date. After that, they're home against Wake. Wake's terrible. Dave Clawson's program has hit its peak a few years ago. It's been going downhill ever since. Tar Heels I think, are better than Wake Forest. Because if you kind of think about these last 3 games, the Tar Heels have lost in their own conference play. Even if you look at JMU, I mean, JMU is a disgrace. That's a pitiful game. Carolina, under no circumstances, can be counted. Carolina fans, under no circumstances, can look at that and say, yeah, maybe they could have won. No, they could have beaten Duke, up 20-0, lose 21-20. Could have beaten Pitt, 24-all in the fourth quarter, lose 34-20. Could have beaten Georgia Tech, tied it up, 34-all, and then Tech has a big touchdown. So they're a couple plays away in the last 3 weeks of beating quality ACC teams. This 3-game stretch is the best stretch on Carolina's schedule, toughest stretch. What's coming up is nowhere near as tough. So yes, I think they beat Wake Forest. And it could be sort of a coming out kind of game. I think maybe they pound Wake Forest. That's 5-5. Then they go to Boston College. A few weeks ago, I would have said, no way on earth North Carolina could go up there and win because Thomas Castellanos is going to run for 370,000 yards. And BC will run for 380, and they'll beat the Tar Heels 31-13, something like that. Well, that still may happen. In fact, the odds are more that happens than that Carolina gets a win. But BC, although it's a better team than UNC, there's no doubt about that, it's not a gimme that BC wins that game. I right now will not pick Carolina to win. I think they go up there and lose. They move to 5-6. But it could be interesting. The weather could be interesting. Could it play into Carolina's favor with the power run game with Amari and Hampton as opposed to Castellanos having to get on the edge if it's bad weather? Could be. But let's knock that one as a loss. So that's 5-6. Then they host State to close the season. Guys, State's as bad as Carolina. They've had 2 games, the Pac's given up 50 plus. They don't score. They got a very young quarterback who's talented, but he's struggling. They're kind of similar in a lot of ways. They're both 0-3 in the league right now. State going to Chapel Hill. Tar Heels could have a lot to play for that game, including bowl eligibility. They both might be playing for that. And you know what? We don't know what the circumstances will be around Mac Brown at that time. Perhaps whatever it is could add another layer to the Tar Heels going into that game. I think they close with a win over State, and they go 6-6. Now, 6-6 with not a gift win, but they were got some help with Minnesota missing the field goal as time expired. Charlotte stinks. Carolina didn't play well. NC Central is FCS, and Carolina was up just 17-10 in the fourth quarter. UVA, Carolina will lose that game. Florida State, terrible team. Wake Forest, terrible team. NC State struggling. Carolina could qualify for a bowl and go 6-6 and not beat a good team. Now, Minnesota's actually had some decent wins. They beat Southern Cal a couple weeks ago, so maybe that would qualify as a good win. And I thought the Tar Heels were a lot better that night than they've been any time since. Of course, they've had a lot to deal with, and losing Max Johnson was a much bigger deal than a lot of people realized at the time. Much bigger deal. I think Max Johnson at quarterback, they beat Duke. Max Johnson at quarterback, maybe beat Pitt, or at least they stay in a shootout there. Max Johnson against Georgia Tech, maybe they win that game as well. We don't know, but they would have had better chances, and that's no disrespect to Jacoby Criswell. He's improved each week, and I think that's another part of the conversation here. Criswell's getting better. He's still got to learn how to hit that long ball. He's got to take something off. He's got to improve his touch there. They've been working diligently on that. He had a great practice last Tuesday with the long ball. He said it was the best he's ever had, but then he missed some of those in the game against Georgia Tech. If Criswell continues to improve, and I like that they're using him more in the run game now, takes a little off Amari, and plus it's right up the gut stuff. So you've got Austin Blasky and Willie Lampkin there. Take advantage. And he's strong. He falls forward. He doesn't fall backwards. That's a weapon. Use it. And because of that, I think this team can finish 6-6. Now, I'm saying this right now, while also I can look at you guys and say they could lose the rest of their games. They really could. I don't think so. I do not see a scenario in which they lose to both FSU and Wake Forest, especially with an open week in between. It could happen, but I don't think I think this team's a little bit better than what the fan base thinks right now. Is it good enough for year 6? A conversation we'll have at a different time. Very quickly, the answer is no. It should be better in year 6. No doubt about that. But that's not the point right now. The point is lose to UVA, win at FSU, beat Wake, lose at BC, beat State, 6-6, go to the outer wherever bowl. I'm going to bowl up in the North Pole. And I'm not covering it. I'm not going up there. I don't like the cold. I'm not going up to the North Pole. They'll be in a crappy bowl, but it'll be a bowl. And it'll be something to celebrate. And Mac keeps saying he thinks they're going to close strong this year. And he was saying it before the back end of the schedule looked easier, but it still looked difficult. Now it looks easy. When the season started, it looked pretty damn tough. Now it doesn't look so tough. So let me know what you guys think. They go 3-2 the rest of the way, 2-3, 1-4, 0-5. 4-1, 5-0. Let us know what you think the Tar Heels would do over the last 5 games. Am I crazy to say 3-2 is very realistic and should happen? Should happen, given what we've seen? I know it's an indictment on some of those other teams, but hey, 3-2 looks to me on paper like something that very well could happen. Let me know what you guys think. Go ahead and post it here on Twitter, on our Facebook channel, on our message boards, either the free or our premium. And if you're not on the premium, guys, it's just $8.33 a month, man. Head on over there. It's less than a drive-through meal now. And you get access to a ton of stuff. And if you're a Carolina basketball fan and you love recruiting, David Sisk kills it. If you're a Carolina football fan, and I assume you are if you're watching this, we got a lot of stuff. It's a ton of stuff. The conversations right now about the program on our premium board, outstanding. You need to be a part of it if you care about the Tar Heels. All right, make sure you subscribe to our channel. If you have not, make sure you hit the notification bell so you get updates every time we upload. And make sure you come back again tomorrow because we got a basketball preview drop coming for you. I'm AJ, and I appreciate y'all stopping by.